All right. Looks like we are loading in on Facebook, Mixer, Twitch, Periscope, and yes, even YouTube, the least well known of all those platforms. I said sarcastically. So, let me bring us to the forefront here. Welcome, everyone. So, we are live and we are here to do a table read of Ithaca online. So first off, thank you all so much for tuning in. Just to set the stage for what we're doing here, this is going to be our first table read, and this is the first time that we've all got together on the same call to read the whole script in order. So thank you for indulging us as we figure out how to make the best of this new format. Our opening performance night is going to be Tuesday, March 31st. So when you tune in, expect to see way more costumes, way more props, sets, music, and original art from the comic. If you'd like to tip the production, all proceeds will be split amongst the cast and crew at the very bottom of the frame. You can see that there. We are also currently on Kickstarter if you'd like to support creating more issues of the comic that inspired this production. So with that being said, I'm going to mute myself and then throw things over to Masa. And actually, perhaps since we're all hanging out, why don't everyone take a chance to just kind of say your name and say the part you're playing. Because whatever, why not? All right. And
my name is Masa, and I'll be playing the part of the writer.
My name is... Sorry, go ahead, yeah.
My name is Adese, and I'll be playing the part of Margaret, Rosie, and the orderly.
Lisa, why don't you go?
My name is Lisa, and I'll be playing Ruth and Delilah.
All right, Chris, all you.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I'm going to be playing Detective Adams, Wharton, Joseph, and Little Jimmy.
Little Jimmy. All right, Unique.
Hi, my name is Unique. I'll be playing Hugo and Harvey.
All right, Elsa. Or perhaps Ian?
Hi.
Oh, there we go. Elsa, go for it.
And I'll be reading Hazel and Daniel Dunwich.
Awesome. Ian?
Hey, I'm Ian. I'll be playing Mookie, Chuck, and Greasy Man.
What a creative name that the writer came up for that character. All right. So I am going to now mute myself, and then once that happens, Masa, take it away, okay? Going to Zoom. Sorry, Masa, you're currently muted. No worries. That's why we're doing this, you know?
Hey, take two. Sorry, folks. I was unmuted, and then I thought I was muted, and I thought I was unmuting, but it went the other way. Sorry.
No, don't worry about it. This is a complicated setup.
Take two. Officer Adams is driving in his police car, but he is in civilian clothes, a nice suit and hat. He's driving along some rolling hills. It is autumn, but very soon it will be winter. He chews a cigarette, deep in thought. Let's remember to shift the color tones to help visually convey the seasons, and that time is past. Now that I think about it, that color shift kind of also works to infer that the bookends are in a different universe than the main story. Oops, spoiler alert. He gets out of his car and tosses the smoke onto the gravel. He's carrying a manila folder full of police files. He walks toward the Seneca Sanitarium. It looms tall, impenetrable, and utterly sterile. Detective Adams walks, hands in his pockets as the cold November air blows over him. The trees are nearly devoid of leaves now. Inside the sanitarium, the walls are just as sterile as they are on the outside. Adams talks to an orderly at the front desk.
Detective Adams, I had a 3 o'clock with the new inmate, Ms. Boggs.
She is in a fairly agreeable state right now.
Oh, on barbiturates, I presume.
They're walking down the corridor.
Oh, yes. Miss Boggs was especially willful when she arrived. I should warn you, her living arrangements are a little bit off-putting. at the moment.
How so?
They stand in front of the door to her cell, room number 23.
We found that Miss Boggs is more agreeable when she has coloring implements. Is mo-
No, that doesn't sound like proper protocol.
Miss Boggs was mutilating herself in order to find something to paint with.
I beg your pardon?
It's not my place to tell lurid tales, Detective. Just trust that you are about to see a marked improvement.
Opening the door, we see a fairly small room. Next to no furnishings except for a bed and a wooden nightstand. There are a number of pieces of charcoal on the stand and on the floor, and one in Hazel's hand. She sits on the bed and stares at the wall, facing away from the viewer. All of her fingertips are bandaged individually. The walls and floors are covered in drawings, threads and vines branching out in paths across her room, similar to the crayon drawing in Stranger Things 2. We see that she has riffed on the design they found in the church several times around the room, and she has also written out several verses from the Book of Scenes on the walls and floor. In an infinite universe, any point in space or time can be considered the center of everything. At the point on the wall in which Hazel is looking currently, there is a lot of blank white space, almost like a window through all the mad scribbling she's done elsewhere. In that window is an attempt by Hazel at a self-portrait, done with charcoals, next to Margaret. It is pretty good. She is an artist after all. You have a guest, Abigail, the orderly says. We see a reverse shot looking at Hazel's face, the wall behind her, and the orderly and Detective Adams. Hazel is drugged to near oblivion, only her art hints at any inner life still left. Over her shoulder on the wall behind her is Hazel's interpretation of Rupert Saxton, the version she encountered in the woods. Cruder and more ambiguous than her drawings in the window on the other wall. It's more like her artistic interpretation of the fear she experienced when they all finally confronted the monster that was once a man. Due to the framing, this drawing appears to be leering down at her.
I'm not allowed visitors.
The detective wants to ask you some questions.
Margaret wanted to be a detective.
Is that right?
That's funny, huh? Because she's a woman? Right.
So, you two are close?
Adams?
Not really. Not yet. I mean, I think we were gonna be close.
Adams stands next to the drawing, trying his best to act like he's qualified to interpret it.
Ah, I see. So, this represents what you wish could have been?
No.
Detective Adams' eyes light up, but he keeps his cool. Hazel has stood up and walked over to the wall. She touches the window she made lightly.
That's another me. A better one. I saw her in the woods, and then again in my dreams.
You saw another Abigail on the Saxon estate?
No. She still goes by Hazel.
Hazel has picked up the charcoal and tweaks the portraits of her and Margaret.
Did you see another Margaret too?
Yes.
Close in again on the charcoal drawings as Hazel rubs her bandaged and blood-stained fingers against the charcoal dust to shade it better.
Things are better where she is. I'm trying to get there.
Adams is sizing up the monstrous drawing of Rupert. It disturbs him.
Hazel, can you tell me what this is?
Something I can't remember. Something from the woods.
An ice cube is grasped with metal tongs. It hovers above a glass of gin. I'm more a fan of the brown liquor myself, but to each his own. We see Theodore Wharton sipping from a glass of iced gin. Mr. Wharton looks straight ahead as if sizing up the reader. Is this more of that Romano swill, Mr. Wharton says?
Damn.
What I tell you, huh?
We pull out and see that Mr. Wharton is inside of the main office of Wharton Studios. He sits behind an expensive mahogany desk on an equally expensive deep green velvet chair. It is evening and soft gas lights illuminate the room. Another man stands facing Mr. Wharton. He is Hugo St. John Romano, a young enterprising bootlegger looking to do more than just brew hooch in his basement. Hugo leans against an Ithaca shotgun as if it were a walking stick.
It is so nice to taste something that didn't come out of the Romano family bathtub. No offense.
None taken. Who knew the Canucks could brew worth a damn? Huh?
They picked a lucrative time to get it right. Now, how much do you have?
Hugo scratches his chin and thinks hard for a second. Math ain't his specialty.
1, 2, 10, 15, 25 gallons, probably. Our family could secure more if you got the trucks to spare.
Yeah, well, we just started a production on a new picture. Probably get you maybe 3 trucks now. More when we wrap. You go.
Huh.
You sure you can manage all that across the border?
Of course. We got a guy that keeps things real simple. So long as you can keep things simple here in Ithaca.
Do things seem complicated to you, Hugo?
But the mayor
is happy. As long as me and my brother, we keep giving a place for the movie stars and, give them a reason to ride the overnight train in from New York City.
You have to understand, we normally like to keep things in the family.
Well, times are changing, Hugo. My family is smart to expand.
Wharton scribbles something we can't read onto a piece of paper.
Now, bring what you got to the bandwagon. Give them you know what? A little bit too much of the hooch. So, bring what you got to the bandwagon. Give them to the bouncer. They call him Little Jimmy, but you call him James. You got it? Now, James will introduce you to one of my associates, Mr. Smits. We'll make sure that you see the sights and you have a good time.
Thank you, sir. Well, I must say, I am glad my family decided to take the meeting, Mr. Wharton.
Hey, call me Daddy. And I think once you see what we're building here, I won't be able to keep you away.
Meanwhile, back at the burnt remains of the Church of Flickering Ascension, Hazel and Margaret flash the lights back and forth, trying to put on a brave face and failing. The floor is a combination of burnt wooden timbers, layered with ash and years of dirt accumulation. The granite that remains intact is charred horribly, and in places, whole sections have crumbled and then fallen through the floorboards. A few rats scurry around, giving the humans a wide berth, watching them with a creepy intelligence. Think Season 1 True Detective.
I don't think anyone still goes to this church, Margaret.
Very observant, Hazel.
Deeper inside, we see pews that have rotted away and collapsed. The beams of light from the 2 women's flashlights seem pathetic in relation to all the darkness that envelops them. Rats continue to move around them on the edges, watching.
Do you think it's safe to be here?
Of course. The city would have demolished this building if it wasn't safe.
Oh. What if our cab leaves?
We told George there'd be $2 in it for him to wait, so.
But what if...
Get it together, Hazel. Are we going to run for ghost or turn tail and run home?
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, my head hurts and so it's making me a little jumpy.
Mine too. Like there's cobwebs between your ears?
Yeah, sure. What's that?
They stand near a blackened wall where someone has recently painted a strange symbol in white paint. Splash page. Both women face away from us, framing the strange shape painted on the wall. They both shine their light at it as well. It looks freshly painted, maybe some of the paint bubbles slightly. It looks like some kind of eye staring at the reader. In the foreground, at the bottom of the frame, a number of rats observe the wind.
Huh. Oh, interesting.
Title: The Magician. Yeah, that's good. That's real good.
It's got 5 points that branch out, and the tip of the star is pointing down. So it's not a pentacle like with the tarot, it's a pentagram like with the devil.
Jesus, Hazel. Why do you know that?
I paint the tarot a lot. It fascinates me.
Hazel's hand is reaching out towards the symbol to touch it.
Hazel? Please don't touch that.
Close in on Hazel's hand. It's almost touching the symbol on the wall. Her fingers are just millimeters away from the paint. We're so close that we can see it as it seems to bubble where it anticipates her fingers will land.
Oh, Hazel!
Guys, is it a spirit?
No, just some rats. Surprised me, sorry. Oh. It is kind of weird that they're just staring at us though, right?
Margaret, you scared me. They're probably used to being fed.
Hazel has moved closer to the rat. She has her foot raised high in the air, about to stomp down.
Just stomp around a bit and they'll scatter.
Wait, the floor!
Hazel bringing her foot down hard to stomp and scare away the rat. However, the force causes her foot to go straight through the rotting wood. Hazel is on the floor in minor pain. Her whole leg is beneath the floor. Margaret has rushed to her side and is jiggling around trying to get up. The rat continues to watch.
Oh, you said this building was safe.
Safe as long as we're not banging about.
The floor completely gives way around them, swallowing Hazel and Margaret both up. They are terrified. The rat scampers off. Mookie and Ruth are in Mookie's car. He's pulling up near the tea factory storefront. It's late at night, gas lamps light up the street, but nobody appears to be inside the shop. The wheels pull up onto the curb right in front of the store.
Not gonna let it go with the tea people, huh?
Is this that tacky establishment? I didn't even notice.
They're both opening the doors and getting out of the car. Mookie has grabbed his cane.
All I saw was a parking spot.
Inside the tea factory, deep in the back, Joseph Dunwich and Daniel Dunwich stand in the darkness, looking out through the window at Mookie and Ruth leaving the car. The parking job is really atrocious. It blocks the door's ability to open.
How long are we supposed to suffer this disrespect, Father?
For as long as we have to, Daniel.
If Reverend Kinney were here, he would have killed that charlatan.
And that's why Harold is on the lam, while we remain by the weaver's side.
Joseph walks away from the reader to a door that leads down and reveals a staircase that descends into the dark. Perhaps we can see the symbol of Is-Nagish carved or painted on the inside of the door as it opens outwards.
That man is poking his nose where he shouldn't. Ma says his friends are already investigating the church.
I have no doubt that she will take appropriate action.
Joseph is at the bottom of the stairs in the darkness of his basement. We can make out that there are wall-mounted candles down there, but they aren't lit yet. Perhaps there are some shelves with dusty old books, and a skull or two as a bookend.
We should at least scare them off.
Don't be a child.
Close in on Joseph's hand as he contorts it into a strange shape. Two small sequential panels that depict the door at the top of the staircase, closing on Daniel. The candles mounted on the walls spurt to life. Now that the room is illuminated, we can see that it houses an altar, and Joseph stands in front of it. The skulls of several newborns adorn the altar. Since the bones in a newborn skull have infused together, I imagine these skulls must be held together with stitching. Joseph's dagger rests on the altar. There is a white and black candle on either side as well, and a framed photograph. Though we're probably not close enough to get a good look at it, it's a photo of Joseph and Rupert from over 40 years ago, before Rupert was twisted. We're looking up at Joseph as he holds the photograph in his hand. He looks tired. The years of waiting weigh heavily upon him. Candles glow dimly in the background. Rupert. Close in on Joseph Sand, clutching the framed photograph from 1880. It shows a 20-year-old Joseph Dunwich as the manservant to a very aristocratic Rupert Saxton. This is a photograph taken on the tail end of their exhibition to Brazil. The two are excited, happy. Rupert holds up several pieces of bark that have strange symbols carved into them. It is held together with bits of twine.
How much longer before we leave this doomed world behind?
Mookie and Ruth approach the bandwagon speakeasy. It's only a block or so away from the tea factory. The top part of the building looks normal enough, like a courthouse or something, but there's a set of stairs that goes below street level. Light is emanating from below.
You been here, Toots?
Don't call me Toots. And no.
They're going down the steps. They approach a thick wooden door with an eye slot that can slide open and shut. Mookie raps against the door with his cane. The eye slot slides open. The very intimidating eyes of little Jimmy peer outward. You can't see him yet, but little Jimmy is a gorilla of a man, hired muscle for the Romano family.
Shit, Mooks, you sure you can afford coming back in here again?
Hey, I'm wearing a suit, ain't I? Open up.
You're lucky no one else knows that it's your own suit.
That's on account of everyone being preoccupied with my charm and wit.
Probably preoccupied with whether that's cologne you're wearing or pure grain alcohol.
I like her.
Jimmy leads them into the main ballroom. Crystal chandeliers drape yellow light over the patrons, all dressed like they're right out of The Great Gatsby. Palm trees add a little green to the room, and people sit at tables with small lamps to add a little more ambiance. The bartenders, waitstaff, and the musicians are all African American. Most of the clientele is white. Most, not all. A few uniformed police mingle and drink while talking to well-dressed ladies. On stage, the jazz band plays, sweating it and putting in their heart into it. The lead singer, Leroy Jones, croons in a white suit. He's not important to this issue, but will be a major player in future arcs. The beautiful backup singer named Rosie, also important in the semi-distant future, harmonizes beautifully. Jimmy continues to lead them through the crowd to a table far off to the side, behind the palm fronds where they put rejects and people who didn't dress that nice. This area is mostly devoid of people, but Hugo can be seen at a table drinking by himself, enraptured by Rosie on stage. He is the only other person in this section.
Now, I'm sorry to say this, miss, but I have to seat you off to this side on account of your diet. And on account of his bad credit.
Hey, I got bread this time.
Don't mind, won't be here long.
Jimmy pulls out the chair for Ruth as she sits down.
Ma'am.
Thank you, Mr.
You can call me Little Jim.
Little.
Just like how Greenland ain't really green.
He has to call me James.
Mookie lights a cigarette on the table candle while offering Ruth one from his holder. Ruth accepts.
So I hope you don't mind, but I'm expecting another friend here tonight.
You promised me a drink. Once that's done, I reserve the right to enjoy my night off, sans your company.
Mookie tries to flag down a waiter.
I think that is exceedingly fair.
Just don't think I'm here because I find you charming.
Hey now.
I'm here because I haven't had a night out in a very long time. And because sitting with you will keep other men from talking to me.
Mookie smokes petulantly.
You're real flapper, you know that?
Technically, I'm married.
Ruth displays her ring.
Oh, Christ.
Cheapskate only ever got me silver, though.
I'm sure what's his name would be just delighted to know about your current whereabouts.
In the background, we can see little Jimmy pointing a very drunk Hugo in the direction of Mookie and Ruth's table.
At ease, that card shark cut out years ago. You'd be surprised how hard it is to get a divorce with an absent man.
A very drunk Hugo has stepped into the frame.
Hey! You must be Mr. Schitz.
Is this your friend?
I think so. Wait, can we get something to drink as quickly as possible?
He's already had enough.
Hugo pulls a chair up to their table and sits down in it.
Hey, you're pretty. You must be in movies.
No, Ruth's a friend.
Hey! I'm making friends!
You seem real nice, but I was actually just thinking of leaving.
Hey. You're friends with Hugo now, and Hugo takes care of his friends.
Close in on Hugo, slamming his bottle onto the table. The liquid inside swishes about.
First off, you're both drinking for free tonight. Huh? As much as you want.
Mookie and Ruth exchange a glance that conveys something along the lines of, works for me.
Come on, what's several free drinks amongst friends?
Free is good. Free is good.
Well, Hugo, glad you could join us.
Back at the police station, Chuck and Harvey are still looking at papers and folders. It's late. None of the other officers remain in the station. Chuck is checking his pocket watch. He's tense, still angry at Harvey, but getting too tired to keep his hostility up.
It's getting late. Time to pack it up.
So far, all I got is one name. Rosemary Jones?
As she sings over at a joint on West Ave. Very popular with men.
Harvey barely looks up from what he's reading.
Well, it's a start. I'll need to finish these.
I said, pack it up. You've got a lead. Go follow it.
What? You got somewhere to be?
Yes. My wife will be getting worried.
Your wife? Well, sorry for keeping you, Chuck.
Harvey is walking out the front door to the police station with all his things. Chuck is in the doorway debating throwing a lifeline to Harvey.
Harv. Rosie sings at the bandwagon. They run liquor there. Usually we turn a blind eye, but...
I'll keep an eye on the exits in case any of your men feel like upholding the law.
Harvey walking along the dimly lit streets at night, smoking, quiet, unreadable. He walks past the tea factory, but stops for a second to look at Mookie's awful parking job. Remember? From earlier? Call back.
What an asshole.
Harvey is walking down the stairs to the door of the bandwagon. He raps on the door with the back of his knuckles. The door slot opens up again, revealing little Jimmy's eyes.
This the bandwagon?
Who the fuck are you, pal?
You treat all your clientele like this?
Just the ones dressed like shit?
I'd like to go in and see the band.
Yeah, that's nice.
Jimmy slides the peephole shut. Harvey looks up and sees a window about 20 feet up. He places his hand and tip of his boots on the wall to his side. The walls are narrow enough that he's going to be able to climb up to the window by spidering up. Harvey has started to scale this wall. Back inside the bandwagon, speakeasy. Ruth, Mookie, and Hugo are 3 peas in a pod and drunk as hell.
It was just piss. Piss everywhere on our shoes, our coats. And I hope that woman stays healthy forever and never comes back.
I never knew the dangers implicit in nursehood.
I knew the risks when I put on the uniform. Just didn't know about the pay.
You're all right, Ruthie. You're all right.
I'll admit, you got more sense than those other broads. They're missing out.
Oh, yeah. Wonder how that church trip is going for them.
Sounds of Margaret screaming and Hazel cursing up a storm. They have fallen through the floorboards and into the secret basement below. Remember that image we ended on last issue with the two skeletons in charred robes? They have fallen squarely into the middle of all this grossness. Hazel has fallen near the skeleton, clutching the skin book that is chained up to the desk. Margaret has fallen on top of the other skeleton, collapsing it, scattering its bones and dust. One flashlight is broken. There's barely any light for them to see.
Oh no. I landed in. No. Oh.
Hazel has stood up and limped over to a wall and is looking up through the hole they fell in. In the background, Margaret pulls herself away from the pile of bones, still holding her hand over her mouth. A little bit of vomit is seeping through her fingers.
Oh, how are we gonna get out of here?
Oh, God, I taste it. I taste skeleton.
Hello? Hello?
Does this make
We
me
need help!
Does this make me a cannibal? Am I going to hell now?
No one can hear us. That cab driver's probably gonna leave soon.
Oh no.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
Hazel hugs Margaret.
It's okay. You're not going to hell for breathing in dust. And we are gonna find a way out of here.
Harvey is inside the window he was climbing towards. We see that it has been left ajar. He crouches in what appears to be a risque photo studio. A pink velvet fainting chair is in front of a green backdrop. The photo camera rests unused on a tripod, facing the chair. Harvey does not seem to notice. This room is dark. He has crept to the doorway and peeks through. The door is only cracked a few inches and warm light partially illuminates Harvey.
I said no. Bank's closed, hon.
Peeking through the door crack, we see a beautiful flapper dressed in rhinestones, feathers, and silk. A greasy mob man in a poor excuse for a suit puts an arm against the wall and leans in to bother her. They're at the top of a stairway that heads downwards. This is not a part of the bar that customers are meant to see.
Hey, lighten up, would ya? Kids ain't never hurt nobody.
You're right. Back off.
I seen the pictures you take up here.
That doesn't mean I need to give a hog like you the time of day.
And don't call me names.
Jimmy? Jimmy?
Can't hear you over the band, dawg. What the fuck?
Harvey has the greasy man in a chokehold and is choking him out. He paws at Harvey's elbow in vain, but Harvey was trained for this kind of thing.
So I was hoping maybe you could help me out, ma'am. That gorilla up front won't let me in.
Well, that's his job. You're dressed like shit.
He said as much.
Harvey lowers the now unconscious body to the floor.
There's somebody here that I need to speak with.
You're not some stalker, are you?
Do you think maybe I deserve the benefit of the doubt?
No. But you're cute, and I guess that goes a long way.
She's grabbed his hand and is leading him downstairs to the speakeasy.
Come on, I'm on stage in a bit, and now I gotta freshen up. Who you after?
Rosemary Jones?
So you are a stalker.
I don't even know what she looks like.
Rosie is singing on stage.
Well, congrats. Now you do. I'm Delilah, by the way.
That's her up on stage.
Close in on Rosie on stage as she croons a beautiful jazzy tune, the last of her set. She radiates an aura of sultry confidence, like a less objectified Jessica Rabbit. We're backstage in the dark.
That's her?
That's Rosie.
I'm Harvey, by the way. And thank you, Delilah. Truly, thanks.
Thanks yourself, Harv. Don't be a stranger, Harvey.
Yeah. See you later.
A panel of Harvey alone in frame.
Nothing long enough.
What?
Been expecting you for some time now.
I'm Harvey.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. You're here to ask me about all manner of unpleasant things. What? You thought that you were special? You're not the only person who drinks Tigring's heartbeat. And we've got a lot of work to do.
Mookie, Ruth, and Hugo stumble along Main Street. Hugo has his shotgun slung over his shoulder. Mookie leans heavily on his cane.
This escort is not necessary, mental Jim.
Honor demands it.
And nobody threatens my friends.
Hugo has pulled a shotgun up and aims it at an imaginary mugger.
Step away from the nurse, sir, or you're gonna have to go through 9 pounds of Ithaqa steel.
Why do you point that Pip? Would ya?
They've reached the tea factory.
Huh?
Something is wrong. Something is very wrong.
There's no harm in. Wait a minute. That's my car!
Been waiting for you all night.
Underneath a street lamp, Daniel is crouched next to Mookie's car. Cultist 1 stands next to him with a crowbar smirking through rotted teeth. The windows are smashed, the tires slashed. Daniel has even started pulling the film equipment out of the car and laying it on the road. Mookie's camera is on its side, still attached to the wooden tripod. Daniel's looking over his shoulder, remorseless, looking for a fight.
You hillbilly pieces of shit!
Daniel slowly straightens up. Close in on Daniel's right hand, holding a switchblade. This stops Mookie for a second. Ruth has her hand on his shoulder. Hugo is already aiming his gun.
Whoa, hold up.
Mookie grips the handle of his cane.
This isn't going to go the way you thought it will.
He pulls the handle, revealing that this is a sword cane.
Really?
A gentleman is always prepared.
Oh, that's a real swell sword, Mooks. Drop what you got.
We're going for a little stroll downtown.
We who will be woven can't be touched.
Huh?
The hell are you going on about?
Joseph Dunwich slams open the door to the tea factory.
Boy, what in the hell are you doing?
I'm working the will of the Weaver.
Get back inside, you damn fool.
Hugo uses his gun to gesture that Joseph should stand still, and Mookie indicates that Daniel and the cultist 1 join Joseph off to the side. Mookie looks like an idiot.
Don't move. You're gonna pay to cover all these damages.
You two stand over there.
At the car now, Mookie is putting his camera upright and inspecting it for damage. The 3 cultists stand off to the side while Hugo points the gun at them. They've dropped their weapons and Ruth helps Mookie inspect the car for damage.
These guys sure did a number.
Better pray this still works, you tea-drinking prick.
A click, the sound of pressurized air being released, and the camera sputters.
Oh, shit. You freaks better pay up for breaking my camera.
You are going to walk away and forget any of this happened.
Oh, cocky one here.
Hey, what are you muttering?
Saying his prayers, most like.
Oh, you're gonna get it now.
Joseph's eyes look dead ahead as he says the final word of his spell.
This guy is a kook. Because that is a strange fucking Hail Mary.
Close in on Hugo's hands holding the shotgun. His fingers are starting to fill with fluid and blister, as if his skin was cheese and just starting to bubble in the microwave. Zoom out a little bit. Hugo's eyes are getting pink as they start to cloud with blood. He squints as it becomes a little harder for him to see. The boils on his fingers and hands are more pronounced. Hugo's starting to feel them too.
Let's
Jesus, Hugo. What's up with your hands?
I'm not.
Hugo is fighting to stay lucid in spite of the increasing amount of pain. He barely manages to keep the gun he's holding upright. Hugo's eyes are completely clouded with blood. Some even leaks out of his tear glands, blinding him. His hands are repulsive to look at. Some blisters have burst and are dripping fluid.
Hugo!
God I can't! I can't see!
Daniel lunges toward Hugo and his gun.
No!
Joseph tries to grab him but misses. Hugo screams silently in agony, falling to his knees. Both hands have come up to paw at his unseeing eyes, dropping the shotgun. Daniel's hands grasping for Hugo like claws, the shotgun still midair. The gun falls, extreme close-up on the shotgun, making contact with the pavement. Hugo is covered in blood and boils, blind and screaming. The body of Daniel lays in front of him, minus a head. A halo of blood, brains, and bones spread outward away from where a head should be, while more blood starts to spurt and pool from his neck. Inside Hazel's cell, Detective Adams continues to look at the nightmarish drawing of Rupert Saxton on the wall.
So, let's talk about something you can remember. That's the trip to that church that you and Margaret took.
Mm-hmm.
The police report mentions that you were trapped in the basement there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suppose you found anything interesting? Anything that might be pertinent to Margaret's case? Let me get that for you. So, right, so was there anything that you might feel could lead?
There was nothing in that church but soot, bones, and rats. Nothing else.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Can we get a virtual round of applause for our amazing actors for our first table read of Ithaca Online? Why don't you guys come back and take a virtual bow? So thank you all for taking the time to go through this with us. We'd love to hear your comments on what you thought worked and what didn't work from a technical perspective. I personally am going to do a slate now. I'm going to calculate how much the audio is distant from the visuals. So 1 second, let me see. All right, here we go. So don't worry, we're gonna get better and better, and we're gonna have more costumes, and we're gonna have very smooth video audio stuff. But we hope you enjoyed that. Thank you guys so much for being here. We will see you on the 31st, and maybe sooner, but definitely the 31st for opening night. All right, thank you everyone.